There are three main objectives that we're going to introduce in this video, which is the function of radiographic instruments. The second one is the demo of how the instruments are used, and the third one is the design work of an X-ray department.
Did you know how X-ray are produced? X-ray are produced when a high-speed electron undergo a sudden change in direction. Okay, so what is the function of an X-ray tube? X-ray tube is used to produce an X-ray photon.
The X-ray generator delivers the electrical power to energize the X-ray tube and permits the selection of X-ray energy, extra quantity and exposure time. And this emission rate specific to a generator and X-ray tube target and housing.
The X-ray housing is needed as to protect the outer space from the leakage of the radioactive. Collimation will help the radiographer to target the area of interest in order to minimize the exposed area as much as possible.
Tube support consists of two perpendicular sets of ceiling-mounted rail, and this allows for both longitudinal and transverse travel of the X-ray tube. And this will also allow for adjustment of SID, which is source to image distance. Moving to X-ray couch. X-ray couch, also known as patient table, is the platform where patient lies on during the procedure. Other than that, X-ray couch can be moved upward and downward, also outward and inward by stepping on the pedals.
So what is the function of erect bucky and table bucky? Erect bucky and table bucky, of course, will hold the cassette or IP plate. Also, there is this and this that will support patient's position and give comfort. So what is the difference between erect bucky and table bucky? The difference between erect bucky and table bucky is the erect bucky is used when the patient is able to stand or sit, okay, which is called erect projection or semi-erect projection. But when patient has no ability to stand nor sit, patient can do their projection at the table bucky, laying down.
Cassette holder is a device that fixes or supports the position of an X-ray film during an X-ray exposure.
IP plate is the one that will record the result of the radioactive. The films plays a role in displaying the radiographic image.
Next is grid. Grid is placed between patient and the X-ray film to reduce the scattered radiation reaching the detector, and thus will help improve the image contrast. Next, we have control panel. Control panel will allow the radiographer to adjust exposure setting, including KBP, MAS, time, and photo timing, and also ideal technique factor.
So, why do you need the protection shield? The protection shield is needed in order to reduce the exposure of scattered radiation to the patient and to the radiographer.
Moving to warning sign. Warning signs are usually placed at the door, and this is to warn people that there's a use of radiation and high-powered magnetic field in the area.
Marker is very important in order to determine the patient's right or left side of the body. Sponge is needed to give support to a certain position, such as the oblique position. Oblique position requires the patient's body to be 45 degrees rotated. Okay, so the sponge will be the guidelines for the radiographer to know whether the patient's body is rotated 45 degree or not.
Next is the room processor. The objective of the room processor is to provide a radiograph adequate for viewing, and this device designed to move X-ray film from one solution to another solution, and this will help to develop the film and produce an X-ray image to the film. Darkroom safe light. Darkroom safe light provide light working in a dark room, so radiograph can see while developing the X-ray film. These lights are designed to provide light in wavelength that will not expose the X-ray film, because the X-ray film is a light-sensitive material.
Next, what is the use of the printer? The printer is used to print the radiographic image on the films.
Next is identification camera. Identification camera are used to print out patient's name and also patient's ID to the X-ray film. This will help the radiographer to identify whose X-ray film belongs to. Explain how to use control panel. Okay, so here we have our control panel, and this button is used to turn on our control panel, and then we can also control our MAS and KBP. Okay, so this button is used to turn off.
Okay. So this is the tube, X-ray tube. This is the X-ray housing. Okay, this is the tube support. We'll be able to control the tube support by pushing these buttons. Okay, we can go up and down. Also, we can go to the right and to the left. In this folder, there is this mark for the center of the cassette. Okay. So you can close it like this. In this Irad Baki, there is this line and this line which can help us to see where center ratio is. Okay. Also, you can move this Irad Baki up and down according to your patient's height. The center of the Irad Baki, there is this place for your patient's chin. To give comfort to your patient. Okay. At this side, there is this for your patient to place their hand. Like as an example, when we're doing a lateral chest X-ray, patient's hand should be lifted. So this will help patient to not move during the examination. Okay. Here, there is a 45-degree sponge. Okay. What's the use of this sponge? This sponge is used in order to make sure your patients didn't move when doing an oblique examination. During oblique examination, your patient's body will have to be rotated into 45 degrees. So in order for your patients to stay still, this sponge will help them to not rotate their body. Okay, so there will be 45 degrees. When doing a projection, we'll have to use this marker. This marker is to determine the patient's right or left side of the body. When doing projection, you must not forget to use the protection shield. As an example, this one. This is the gonad shield. And place it this area. Okay, click. Okay, then. Okay. Other than that, we have this shield. Okay. This is the thyroid sheet. You must be aware at your neck area to protect the thyroid. So here is the lip guard. Okay. You wear it at the front, okay, and clip it at the back side of your body.
just need to step on this pedal. Okay, this is how we go up. And then we can go down. We can also move it in and out by stepping on this like this. So this is grid, and then we will use grid usually when we do decubitus projection. So we will put the grid at the top of our cassette, and then we will tap it. Nanti aku. So the grid will stay at the cassette. Okay. Next, this is the cassette holder if we do a decubitus projection. Okay. So we will put our cassette here, and then we will tighten it. Okay.
Nak tunjuk ke yang belakang tu?
Dah ke?
Ha?
Boleh cepat. Okay, so we will tighten it like this, and then like this. So the tube can stay. Okay. Okay, so these are the IP plate. It is used in a conventional system rather than cassettes. Here is the darkroom processor. We'll insert the cassette here, and the processor will process our image. Okay, so this is where the film will be taken. Okay, so the used cassette will be put in here. Okay, so this is identification printer. So first we will write our patient's name and ID in a paper, and then we will put it here at the top, and then we will put our cassette inside here, and then it will come out here. The name and the ID will be here. That's all. Okay, so in here we have a safe light, dark room safe light. So that's one. Okay, so we will turn off the light. So the light will turn, and it can help us to see when we want to process the film. Right. Okay, when the patient is exposed with radiation, this light will turn on. These are the warning signs. It is used for precaution to the patient and radiographer.
Hi, now we're gonna introduce our design room of an X-ray department. There are certain rules that must be followed in designing an X-ray department room, which is, according to the design room that's shown, the table baki and the erect baki is placed side by side. This will help the radiographer to minimize the movement of the X-ray tube in order to minimize time used in a projection as much as possible. Secondly, a chair must be placed in the X-ray department. Why is a chair important? Why do we need a chair in the X-ray department? Because the chair will be used when a radiographer is doing semi-erect projection. The chair must be placed at a reachable place in order to minimize movement as much as possible. Next, the control panel must be placed at the other side of the X-ray room. It must not be placed at the patient's waiting room. This is very important. Why? Because the control panel cannot be at the place where it's reachable for the patients in order for the patients to not mess around with the X-ray instrument. Mostly, the control panel itself. In addition, in the control panel, there is the button used to expose the patient. So it is very dangerous when a shelf where we place the IP plate and grid is placed at the control panel room. This is because that is the most systematic room for the shelf to be placed. Why? Because the patient did not have access to this room, which means it is safe from any disturbance. There is a window that allows the radiographer to see through X-ray room from the control panel. This is very important in order for the radiographer to be able to look at the patient's position when giving exposure to the
The X-ray room wall is designed specifically for the use of the X-ray room, and there's a specific thickness of a wall that can help absorb the scatter radiation that comes from the exposure of an X-ray to the patient each time a projection is done. A used gown bin is provided in the changing room to make sure patients throw the used hospital gown, so they will not put the used hospital gown to the closet bag. A used gown bin is provided in the changing room to make sure patients throw the used hospital gown, so they will not put the used hospital gown to the closet bag. The dark room and the processor room is placed side by side since the dark room processor connects with the printer. A sink is provided in the dark room for safety purposes, because we use chemicals in the dark room. So if we accidentally touch a chemical, then we need to wash that parts immediately.